For day 15 of reading, your reading strategy is theme. So you're going to use The Bad Seed, the book. If you forgot what it was about, you can always go back and listen to one of the videos that is labeled The Bad Seed of me reading it. But you're basically going to identify important lesson that readers can learn from the text. So in theme, we're thinking about what is the message the author was trying to teach us at the end of the book. Okay, so your task is to write an important lesson readers can learn from this story. If you did your summary correct on day 13, you already have this answer. It should be at the bottom because a part of a summary is there a lesson that the readers can learn from this story? So if you wrote that, you already kind of have your answer and you could just keep going. You could just copy what you did from that. But if not, we're going to go on and talk about theme for a second. So this slide shows you how we find the theme. First, you have to read the whole story. You can't just read part of it. You have to read the whole story. You have to ask yourself, did the character learn a life lesson? Did they realize something at the end of the book? And then you have to give evidence from the text. So you can't just name the lesson. You have to give evidence from the text that shows why he learned that lesson or how he learned that lesson. So, like I said, theme is just a message or a lesson the author wants you to learn, and you have to ask these questions. What did the characters learn? What did you learn? How did they grow in this book? Some common themes that you see in a lot of books is courage, honesty, love, friendship, forgiveness, loyalty, hope, equality, hard work, teamwork. And so in that one of those may be the theme of The Bad Seed, and it may not be. There's a bunch of different ones. So I'm going to click over really quick so you can see my face. Let me see. Okay, can you see me? So we read The Good Egg, correct? There was a bunch of different lessons that I could have learned from this book. So I wrote a couple of them down. One of them was self-care, that it is really important that you take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you will fall apart eventually. So you have to take care of you. Another one was accepting of yourself. You have to know that it's okay to be different. In The Good Egg, he was good and he wanted everybody else to be good all the time, and that's not how they wanted to be. So you have to be able to accept who you are and be happy with it. Another lesson that I learned, or that The Good Egg could have learned, is you also have to accept others. Accepting others as for who they are. Remember, we talked about how our family are like eggs. We all have a bunch of different people in our family. They're all different, and we have to learn to accept that crazy uncle, that silly grandma, that mean cousin, whoever it is. We have to be able to accept others for who they are. And then another theme I had was you have to find a balance in your life. You can't be perfect all the time. Nobody is perfect all the time. So you have to find a balance. So I didn't write about all four of these. I just chose one to write about and then gave the reasons from the text. So I'm going to click back off of this so you can see it. And here is what I wrote. Maybe. All right, so this is the question. Oop, and here's my response. I learned this is a good way to start off your theme response. I learned that sometimes in life you have to take care of yourself. Oops, come back over here. If you always try to take care of other people, you may start to fall apart. In the book, the good egg was cracking under the pressure of trying to make the other eggs be good. He had to go off and take care of himself so that he could heal. He literally was falling apart because he wasn't taking care of himself but trying to take care of everybody else. So I wrote about one lesson and gave you evidence from the text that show right here that prove that he was cracking under the pressure of trying to make the other eggs be good, and he had to go off and take care of himself so he could heal. All right, so that's what you're doing today. You're going to think about the bad seed, and you're going to think, what is a lesson that you can learn from the bad seed, and then give evidence from the text to support your answer. So if you say that you can learn a life lesson that you should always be bad from this book, you have to give me evidence to support so the seed decided that he should always be bad. Okay, so that's not the right answer, by the way. So that's what you're doing. Good luck with theme. Like I said, if you did day one and you put that at the bottom of it, you already have your answer. Just go back to where you summarize the book and take that if you did that part. If not, add it on to it. All right, guys. As for writing for day 15, you were supposed to focus on um, revising your small moment story and adding some leads and endings. And so you were supposed to write fast and furiously, just super fast, getting all your thoughts out on paper about a story, a small moment, time in your life. And we talked about what a small moment was and how it wasn't this whole week of things, but it was just this little time period in your life. And so you were supposed to write that out yesterday, and that's all I really wanted you to do. You didn't have to fix it or go back and read it. You just needed to get that down. Well, when we do that sometimes, when we're just trying to get our thoughts down, we write fast and furiously. Sometimes we forget to add leads and endings into our writing. So remember, every writing starts off with a lead. We need to introduce our reader to what we're talking about and hook them in so that they want to read our writing. And then, so here are let me click on here, some different leads. You can always do dialogue. You can always have somebody talking before you do start your writing off. You can do an action. You can do a setting, one sweltering summer afternoon in the city. You can ask a question to start off your lead. Have you ever been on the tallest roller coaster in the world? And then start telling your story. But we have to hook our reader, and we have to let them know what they're about to read about to get them into and interested into our writing. And then when we're finished our writing, we can't forget to have an ending. We can't just cut it off and don't end our writing, because you leave the reader hanging and they don't know if that's the end of your story or not. So there's different ways that we can end our writing. You can have a strong feeling in your writing. You can add some humor to end your writing. You can have a hope or a wish, like in the future I will never jump off the top of the stairs again. I know this changed me because I now love my little brother now that he's been born. You can have a strong image of, that was the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen. I can't wait to see it again. You can have a lesson that you learned. I learned that I will never let Jax play unaccompanied in the shed. Or it can end with, I always remember this because it was the last time that I got to see my grandma. Something. So these are 6 different ways that you can end your writing instead of just stopping writing. So today your job is to go back and look at your flash draft, that quick and fast and furious draft that you wrote, and add a lead if it's not in there, and add an ending if it's not already in there. If it is in there, read over it and think, is that the best I could do, or can I change that up a little bit? So I'm going to read you my writing. Again, I haven't even looked over it to see if I have any grammatical errors or spelling. I just typed it as fast as I could because I wanted to do it just like y'all. And I don't have a lead or an ending on purpose because I wanted to go back in here and show you how to do it. So here's my writing. I told you I was going to tell a story about Jax, and so this is it. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. I will never forget the day that I went to change Jax's diaper and found fishing worms in his poop. It was one of the grossest and scariest moments of my life. It all started the night before when Todd and I were cleaning out the shed. He had a bag full of fishing stuff that he had never put in his tackle box. Jax was about 2.5 and was walking around the shed messing with stuff as we cleaned. At one point he grabbed the worms and was playing with them. We didn't think anything about it and kept on cleaning. What we didn't know was that while we weren't paying attention, he ate some of them without us realizing it. Our only guess to why he would have done something like that is he thought they were gummy worms. We finished cleaning the shed and went to bed. The next morning is when the craziest day of my life started. Jax and I had a play date with Miss Hooper and her kids. We went over for almost all of that morning, and when we left, let me click. Maybe. Hold on. Sorry, it's now frozen. When we left, we headed to the grocery store so we could pick up a few things. When I went to get Jax out the car, I smelled this stench. That smell you know someone has a poopy diaper. I asked Jax if he pooped in his diaper and he just smiled. So I grabbed a diaper and some wipes and headed to the bathroom to change him. I put him on the changing table, pulled back his diaper, and that's when I about fainted. Inside his nasty poop were these 4 big hunks of red fishing worms. The problem is that at first I didn't know they were fishing worms. I thought they were real worms. I saw them and freaked out. I started to investigate his poop a little closer. Remember, this is all in the bathroom of the grocery store, and I figured out they weren't actual live worms. I took a picture of it so I could show the doctor and threw the diaper in the trash as fast as I could. I called Todd, and all I could get out was, Jax has worms in his diaper. I was hysterically crying at this point because I was worried he swallowed more and they were stuck in his intestines. Turns out that he was okay, and we later discovered this bag of fishing worms. The bag held 10 worms, and there were only 8 left in the bag. We looked back at the picture, and we could see that the pieces made up about 2 worms, which means he had pooped out all that he had eaten. Okay, so yes, funny but scary story. So there's more details I can add into this, but today we're really just focusing on leads and endings. So I'm going to go back to the top really quick, and I'm going to think, how do I want to start this out? I kind of told you somewhat of a lead, but I want to start this off with a question, a really good question. So I'm going to say, have you ever had something happen to you that almost caused you to faint? And then I will never forget the day that I went to change Jax's diaper and found fishing words in his poop. There we go. So I started off super easy with a question. I got you interested. You're like, what did she do that almost caused her to faint? Or what happened to her? So I have you hooked. You're in. I want you want to read my story, okay? So then I don't really have an ending. I just told you that we've realized that the fishing worms weren't that he had pooped all of them out. They only ate 2. So I want to do mine with a lesson learned, because I learned a lesson that day. So let me get down here again, maybe right here. Okay. That day I learned that you never let your toddler play around with things when you are not really watching them. Okay? My lesson learned. I always have an eye on Jax, especially when we are in the shed. Alright, so there's my lesson. So I have an ending. So again, I'm going to go back through this tomorrow and work on it a little bit and change it up so that I can finalize it. But that's what you need to do today, is make sure that you added a lead into your writing. And, oops, I keep moving this. And make sure that you have an ending into your writing. Alright, guys. Let me know if you need anything. If you want to send me your writing, let me look over it. I would love to see it.